If you love Snickers and no bake desserts, this cheesecake is for you. What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. This cheesecake is such a showstopper, but it's actually really easy to make. It has a buttery biscuit base, a creamy chocolatey Snickers cheesecake filling. It's topped with salted caramel sauce, more Snickers, and some crushed peanuts for extra crunch. There's no bacon required, so it's perfect for hot days and when you just don't want to turn on the oven. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with the biscuit base. I'm using digestive biscuits, which are a go-to for cheesecakes in the UK, but you could swap these for graham crackers if you're in the US, or anything that's plain and crumbly. I'm gonna crush mine in a food processor to nice fine crumbs, but if you don't have a food processor, just pop the biscuits into a sandwich bag and just give them a good bash with a rolling pin. Can you tell I've been away for 2 weeks? It's fine, I don't need the ones that are on the floor. So just put your biscuits in your food processor. I was gonna break them up anyway. I mean, technically, I was just getting way ahead of myself. There we go, that's all that will fit in there for now. So just blitz these to a fine crumb. Okay, that looks good to me. So make sure there's no lumps left for a nice, even, solid base. I'm gonna crush the rest up and then we'll pour them into a bowl. So you wanna add your crushed biscuits to a medium mixing bowl. Almost drops that. Now we're gonna add in our melted salted butter. Salted butter gives a really nice contrast to the sweet filling, but if you only have unsalted butter, that's totally fine too. Just melt it in the microwave for about 1 minute on a medium heat and give it a good stir. Make sure you cover it so it doesn't go everywhere. So you're just gonna mix these together until the biscuits are fully coated. It should look like a wet sand and it should hold together when you press it between your fingers. Now you're gonna grab an 8-inch springform tin, and just a tip for you guys, the tins usually come with a lip that's on the inside. I actually take out the bottom, flip it upside down, so this inner lip bit is actually on the outside, so it's easier to get your cheesecake out of it. I'm gonna line it with a piece of baking paper. This is actually already pre-cut. It's just an 8-inch one that I bought from Lakeland. But if you don't have the pre-cut ones, you could just get a regular piece of baking paper, draw around the base of it, and then cut it out. So you're just gonna scoop your base into your tin. And you're gonna press this down nice and firmly with the back of your spoon, or you could use the base of a glass so it's really compact and even. If it's not packed in tightly, it can actually crumble and break when you slice it, and we don't want that. There we go, that looks great. So I'm just gonna set this aside in the fridge while we make the filling. For the filling, you're gonna start by melting milk chocolate in the microwave on a medium heat, so about 500 watts in 1 minute bursts, stirring in between until it's melted and smooth. My chocolate is now fully melted. It took exactly 2 minutes, but it might take more or less time depending on your chocolate and your microwave. So now you're gonna set this aside to cool. This is actually really important because if it's too hot when you mix it into the cream cheese, it can cause the filling to split or to become grainy. Next, you're gonna need cold double cream or heavy cream if you're in the US. It needs to be cold so it whips quickly and easily to stiff peaks. You can also chill your beaters and your mixing bowl if your kitchen is really warm. So we're gonna be pouring this into a large bowl and whisk it to stiff peaks using an electric mixer. You can use a regular hand whisk if you're feeling energetic. It's just gonna take a bit longer. In that goes. And whisk to stiff peaks. It's not plugged in. Take 2. There we go. There we go. They look like nice stiff peaks to me. You want it to hold its shape, but don't over whip, otherwise it can go grainy. Now onto the cream cheese mixture. I'm using full fat cream cheese at room temperature. I always recommend using full fat for cheesecakes because it gives you the best structure and the best texture. I'm using Philadelphia as it's nice and thick and creamy, but any good quality brand works. You just don't want it to be watery as it may not set properly. So you're gonna need another large mixing bowl and just add in your cream cheese. You want this to be at room temperature so it mixes in smoothly with no lumps. Then add in your icing sugar or powdered sugar. Got that all on my thumb. Then add in your melted and cooled milk chocolate. And you're just gonna beat these together until nice and smooth. Make sure you don't overmix as you don't want it to turn runny. Perfect. So it should be this nice, smooth, light chocolatey color. Now we're gonna add in our whipped cream. And we're just gonna fold this in with a spatula. And take your time here. You want to keep as much air in the mixture as possible so your cheesecake stays nice and light and fluffy. There we go, that looks amazing. And last step before the filling, the Snickers bars. So I'm using about 100 grams here, which is about 3 small Snickers bar, but you don't have to be totally accurate with these. So I'm just gonna chop them into small pieces so they mix evenly through the cheesecake. So in these go, and then just fold them through the cheesecake filling. Okay, perfect. Let's go get our base out the fridge. Now I'm gonna spoon our cheesecake onto our base, and I'm gonna do this half at a time. So about that much. And then grab a spoon, and I'm just gonna spread that out all the way to the edges. So I'm doing this half at a time because I'm trying not to get any air bubbles in it. And it's easier to do it with smaller amounts than it is to chuck it all in at the same time. So all the way out to the edges. And now add the rest of it. And then just smooth this out. Again, all the way out to the edges so we don't get any gaps. There we go. So I've just smoothed out the top there, but it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be adding a caramel topping later. So now our cheesecake needs to go in the fridge. It needs at least 6 hours, but ideally I always recommend refrigerating your cheesecakes overnight. This gives it the best chance to fully set, and it helps all the flavors come together too.
One eternity later.
We're back. Our cheesecake has fully set, so let's remove it from the tin. Try and gently take that off without scraping the edges too much. So I'm just gonna fill in a couple of the gaps with the excess cheesecake that was around the rim here. Just patching it up. That looks pretty good to me, so now let's just remove it off its base. So you should just be able to push it off and then remove the piece of paper from the base. It shouldn't break at this point if you've pushed down your base properly, and then just slide it onto your serving plate. There we go, easy as that. Now we're gonna add our salted caramel topping. So I'm using ready-made salted caramel sauce here. This one is a Joe and Seth's one, and it's really thick and really delicious. You want to make sure whatever caramel you're using that it isn't runny when cold, as runny caramels won't set on the cheesecake, they'll just slide off, which is the reason that I wouldn't recommend using carnation caramel here, as it can be quite slippery. So I'm just gonna transfer this, if I can get it open. Ah, there we go. I'm gonna transfer this into a microwave safe bowl. So you can see it's really nice and thick. And this hasn't even been in the fridge. This is just what it's like at room temperature. I actually put this caramel sauce in my coffee in the morning. I have a salted caramel iced latte. Now I'm just gonna melt this on a medium heat for about 20 to 30 seconds, just to loosen it a little bit so it pours on nicely. There we go, so it should be nice and runny. Just make sure it's not too hot before you pour it on, otherwise it can melt the cheesecake. So we're just gonna pour this nice and evenly over the top of our cheesecake here. Let's start with one layer, and I'm just gonna gently smooth that out to the edge. You need to be really gentle with this because you don't want to disturb the cheesecake underneath. think that looks pretty good. I don't think I actually need to add any more salted caramel sauce. This can just go back in the jar and back in the fridge. So I'm gonna pop this in the fridge now for 20 to 30 minutes just to firm up the caramel before finish decorating. This board is really heavy. While our cheesecake is chilling in the fridge, I'm just gonna chop up some more Snickers into fine slices as I'm gonna put those around the edge. Just like that. It actually helps here if your Snickers bars are cold, so feel free to pop them in the fridge for a little bit before you slice them up. Helps you get nice thin slices. I just had to taste it to make sure they were okay. So now our caramel topping has stopped moving, I'm gonna place these around the edge. And you can do this however you like. You can overlap them, you can put them all facing the same direction, or you can place them on a bit more randomly like I'm doing here. That looks pretty good. And then for the finishing touch, I'm just gonna sprinkle some chopped peanuts in the gaps and just around the edge here. This adds a really nice crunch and a bit more texture, but it's totally optional. So there you go, that is our no-bake Snickers cheesecake. You've got the buttery biscuit base, the creamy cheesecake packed with chocolate and Snickers pieces, the thick caramel topping, and the Snickers on top. It's rich, it's sweet, it's salty, crunchy, just everything you could want in a dessert. And because it's no-bake and made in advance, it's great for dinner parties, for birthdays, or anytime you just want to get ahead. So let's slice it up and we'll do a taste test. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. Now for my favorite bit, let's try it. Oh my gosh, that tastes amazing. I just love the sweetiness and the saltiness and the creaminess all together. Snickers is one of my favorite chocolate bars, so this is like my perfect cheesecake. You can store this in the fridge in an airtight container. It will keep for up to 4 days if you haven't eaten all of it before then. So guys, that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section if you give it a go and what cheesecake recipe you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.